Hello, species. There are interbranch police forms who made rape threats, and they made, even online, they made identity theft crime acts on and off campuses and through time. So people don't understand it at first. These are interbranch families maintain criminally foreign influence there and here, but through a method that's not sourced by one. They're using the identity of the ground in ways that is demonstrably how they crime method that had natives A through Z and had colonists A through Z and had founders A through Z not understanding, but through what they wanted us to demonstrate, which is also not that understood because we have our founders' identity stolen but through glorifications of them pretended needed up front, pretending what is complex, what is very simple, because none of them had free speech. This is about Marbury versus Madison's value, interpretations of our founders, influences to them, well, also physical delusions, intersciences, also victim predators of what maintains tortures with the identity thefts, tortures of a nature of it that no one has means or uh, to counter. They won't give a ground to who has mandated law not allowed followed offensively against everybody. Offensively, our branches maintain criminally forward influence delusions wrought tools in conjunction with Washington D.C. Trade Center Justice Department clicks. Families are associated with all private tied to the various natures of courts, various natures of police and branch grouped together progressively, sequentially. See, this is also with former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, when he was defendant in a 2006 case. His co-defendants are men who had, and his lawyer are men who had crime roles with people of the extended family member and as a person who came into my grade in fourth and fifth grade that were used criminally, etc. Then they use them to hide line progressions from interbranch families associated with Sandy Hook from my town. See, with the interbranch state judicial branch offices, on and off that are people involved with the identity thefts, natures of it, roles with it, facilitated. They need to pretend we have personal problems and things where it has and how courts originally and still recorded using time too fast and too slow criminally, using values to always criminally, pretending that having a job is value offensively criminally, because these are natures of extortion roles, crime method roles, wire crimes, identity theft crime acts roles. These aren't people caring about who works. This is in conjunction with what keeps each nature of police form a victim predator. I'm not saying that each branch isn't a victim. I'm saying they're victim predators. Now they're not following mandated law. Online, they're recorded using experts of psychology, foreign and domestic, in collusion, stealing identities overtly, interbranch, spreading lies about people with fake news, stealing our identities, WFSB, Fox CT. These are crime acts roles facilitated to their collusion with Russians, pretending to be against that, pretending to be investigating that criminally. These are people with predicate acts with roles with that, with a Leahy family, with other families. I don't know the names of. I don't know if the lady. There's a Russian woman confessed and recorded to me involved with crimes that occur family and military police involved with forging names, switching names, various sequence switching, attaching me and others to fake conversations, switching their own and other identities. See that identities that prevents means to counter what's not letting us defend ourselves. Now, see, these are gun crime roles. These are gavel crime roles. These are all the weapons in associated with the branches recorded in collusion with overt criminal enterprises, insidiously doing the same identity thefts with them, like a Joey Quest, people associated with Fred Grisette and a Chris Walters, who didn't go to my high school, but they lived on both sides of it, involved with criminal justice clicks, like with a Mike Pandolf. I barely know him. He was involved with wire crimes, with fake sides of fact sheet nature, with the lawyers used criminally, and with people that were used criminally in middle school. I don't know, who pretended other real quick. They weren't even in my classes, and then that was exploited. Now, when how I caught them with a principal child offender school, that they forced him first with the rest of the offenders. There's still more with his school and with other campuses in town of each age, each nature of them. In other words, fire campuses, medical campuses. People don't realize this. See, there are many doctors recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved criminally with a Leahy family, a Lombardo family, with medical, with fire department corruption. See, all these people were facilitating this intercity with police chiefs retired and standing, and police forms retired and standing associated many with the Wethersfield Police Department. They stacked those names, they switched names, forged names, and pretend not to understand people. These are people recorded criminally involved with speech pathologists, medical cliques, foreign and domestic, maintain criminal collusion with positions next to the departments of each of the campuses recorded criminally involved. And so, in other words, people need to say, I don't even have anything to do with those people. I don't know those people. They set up in the past where they made strangers see people out to make confessions. They're using confessions criminally. This is in conjunction with using the churches not understanding how they need to use counter confessions, counter insidiously, until they understand what modern nations are trying to demonstrate together. For example, too, with this recorded, ISIS is in collusion with the people that hate them. This is because they're in here, they're involved with the identity of the ground thefts, identity of the value of modern religions, identity of the value of human fact-sheeting nature, identity of the value of the sequence nature of the Quran and of the Old Testament. Not by accident, through lifetimes, what they're talking about with science and with common sense in the beginning is not valued. People are valued in the back parts of them, because that's what keeps originally negotiated with terrorism, worse than terrorism, forced alliances between nations as fake sides, forced to value that in relationship to fact-sheeting nature, racket, and phenomena being exploited, which is value nature transfer, is value forced, not just value nature transfer forced. We have live progressions from each database relationship, not by accident. So it's very simple, but I'm trying to say. I'm trying to report the crime acts and confessions. Then untimely deaths tied on and off campuses, intercity, or with confessions that brought in other words, they changed the nature of what you need to report. And the whole time they're stacking fact sheetments that to ground that you can't counter, because they're investing people to federal crimes, like stacking me attached to fake people with the name Alicia. And they're not being able to talk honestly about that, because these are people associated with the Justice Department, Trade Center, intercities, and interstates, and worse. Maintain criminally foreign influence with a whole bunch of people with Alicia from New York associated with Connecticut campuses, and with the on-off campuses and intelligence families in collusion, not even realized all they're just defending criminal uses of the ground there and here, criminal uses of what is causing negative value nature progressions in Russia and here, in Italy and here, and the other nations involved in here. and as a method, maintaining everyone blaming other things, others, themselves. Forgiveness is greatly about this inside the organized crime conversation, where these interbranch also want to be known as organized crime. They also want to be known as being against it misprision. In other words, they want and need to use the right to lie to hide their actually recorded natures as identities of the law. They can't defend that and stand simultaneously, inherent correlation natures simultaneously inherent active and progressive means. So I've asked many times to have a response to the rape threats. They have little punk creepiest people in the world with guns who are pretending not to realize they're punk creep souls in the background because they can't follow the directions of paper now. They already committed too many natures of federal crimes. It's a federal crime to enact someone obligated to report threats on kids associated with schools, and then to lie about how they interpreted those complaints. I didn't even get to the rest of the complaints. See, because there's a Joshua Julian involved with verbal federal crimes with overt criminal enterprises, proven. And these are people involved with natures of organized crime where our nations have that juxtaposed originally and still, because they don't understand what really furthers these overt criminal enterprises interstate and the problems manifest with them, like fentanyl, for them, which is also recorded anyways, involved with their other natures of crimes with these groups. Overt criminal enterprises, timed crime acts, illusions with them. Little criminal insidious natures needed to hide the same finite, active, and progressive lies with them. Them pretending to be against violence while they know, boxing is not violence because in other words, they're making violence because they're pretending they already pretended things about me and others. In other words, now they need to lie about their uses of the identity of the ground, intercities, the identity of the cities being used criminally. We see all these people online with pretend they care about addiction and things like these. These are the drug cliques interbranch. Also, crimes with doctors pretending to be against that. Because these are people also associated with the anomaly, the phenomena of the anomaly where when you go into courts, they're not supposed to speak medical information. They've been using that to make it up with their drug cliques interbranch, forging names, switching names, and besides that, all natures of crimes, the serious crimes, and then there are criminal uses of the words crimes, of the words evidences. There are exculpatory and inculpatory evidences, for example. They're preventing people from speaking in courts because there are natures that are criminally foreign influence precedents valuing victim predators, child abused, each age of fact cheating nature, well, as overt predators, as lie progressions, as lie progression cover up natures, no, as criminal insidiousness nature, which they believe is legalized, but not honestly because they also know that they're hiding it. That's why they're forging and switching names with doctors. I mean, and with judges. In other words, there's a principal child offender who they sent to jail not long ago. For years that he was associated with other people with that campus, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with crimes on and off the campus, and as groups with criminal uses of on and off campuses tied untimely deaths. One of them on campus, and those are the people that with the other professors and things like that, family members of the various natures of courts, who made confessions and were affected to offensive evidence reception crime roles with those confessions and with them pretending to perceive things. In other words, they're pretending to investigate the integrity of what is said to them by their own people and by other people, and making mistakes purposely, on purpose, criminally. WFSB recorded, confessed, and demonstrated his coaching through years, each age of fact-cheating nature, with parents of interbranch and drug cliques associated with them, and with the medical families criminally involved. There are medical families involved, forging names, switching names, physical delusions, which is important. We have to, because we have too many nations sharing the physical delusions of psychology, individually grouped and together, and they're using this, as extortion methods, as torture methods that are within organized crime natures that our history is actually about. It's not complicated. So we have to focus. We have to focus on their crime acts online and then in cases. And these were also crime acts on off campuses. These were crime roles, facilitated natures leading up to and in the Trade Center attack context in Manhattan, with the Connecticut interstate intercampuses crime acts, illusions, identity theft collects, wire crimes, mail crimes, internetworks crimes, crimes with their police personal, with their lawyers personal, and with their retired and standing interbranch sources and with databases. See how when you watch the news, everyone's standing in front of, everyone's relying on what everyone else says to them. See, this is associated with the natures of identity theft and rolls with it. And with misprision, MISPRISION. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a police form, not criminal. This is about recorded how lawyers too originally and still were criminally foreign influenced and with delusions with the branches, like with witch trials, which our American history is about, requiring a quality of fact treatment, nature of sequence treatment, truth that enables revelations. That is, as science, we're using correlation nature simultaneously, inherent, active, and progressive means with evidence reception. So when we have that denied and we have the alternative to it, criminally foreign influenced, formal, and victim predator formal evidence reception roles. The etymology of English was revealed by and as the value of these 26 sounds of English. How they revealed that and how they go together with an identity of relationship to themselves that is simultaneously, inherently, actively, and progressively to each nature of individual semi-nature or volume of itself. For example, inherent, active, in our progressive nature, our individual / bonded group / sex, bonded species, nature, volume. This trinity is a nature. And our body, our identity, our physical body, our physical identity of value has a value / value nature relationship to values nature, which is before and is staying beyond us as perfect value progression. It won't slow down, it won't leak. It stays in gifts, or goes, it leaves. Leaf of Hadith. 4, space nature transfer. Nature being Trinity. So this is also, algebraic consciousness also comes with nature acting, which is way better than method acting, which is methodically, which is being used to obfuscate the Trinity. As each age of fact-treating nature was maintained, a victim predator per method, originally still that maintains each age of fact-treating nature, raised misprision, valuing having been valued, the correlation natures Trinity's three natures of volume and their positive relationship to themselves actually. So criminal insidiousness nature, what is positive to their sensibilities is not positive. Also onto positive's identity. You see, so when we come to Jane Austen, which is going to be one of the books assigned for our school project for the Campus Marcius ancient gaming system, because we're going to take over the sciences now, and we're going to make the Burroughs book, and we're going to make the New York game /S to fund means for simultaneous natures of reliefs that we can only do ourselves, and which will only be making us stronger the whole time. And we're also doing this only as what is going to be positive always onto each person, group /sexes, sex value, and species, nature of volume. And when we're doing that simultaneously, if we're doing it right, it's individually, it's in that sequence, individual, group /sexes, and then species, nature of volume, value of importance, sequentially. See, when we are negative value nature, that shifts. You see, and exception nature is in demonstration to us this way. There is what is truth, there is what is fact, also as exception, also true as all exceptions. See, American history, the history of other nations is in conjunction with natures of organized crime that were juxtaposed. And with a whole bunch of juxtaposed natures of criminal insidiousness nature, motivations, natures, roles, and interests, needs, all as victim predators, all those needs, motivations, other than the breaching method that was the cause to the negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures, like predicate acts, natures like wrongdoers, like criminal insidiousness natures. These are organized crime terms. Because this is what this is about. This is also about opinions that are offensively self-defeating, especially regarding Native American value. And then they want to speak for the law anyway, and for us. See, and for the identity of each area simultaneously distinctly heard. So to keep each individual simultaneously distinctly heard. If they think now, will think why and how they value all the people stacking, all the negative value nature progressions, acts and natures caused just by how we have the tactically denatured relationship to nature, nature of homes pathology, nature of relationship to nature that was forced here since before our founders' births. If anyone tried to build anything other, they tortured them, hurt them, punished them, made all fear. While they were building all, blaming the roles and the motivations for the natures behind the role doing that, other things, others themselves, and maintain valuing it. Because people can't, especially when you're a kid, when everyone's locked into time treatments, treatments of positive as fake care, simultaneously as hurt, simultaneously real fast tricks and too long, sustaining this for our forever nature is being exploited always. Even time is used always because we have criminal insidiousness natures propagated as modern nations in identity of negative value nature progression. Our species maintained through a method that maintained relationships to the identity of ground, having value, needing to continue to value more and more the real causes for negative value nature progressions, action natures, blamed on other things, others themselves. So New Britain Superior Court has more offenders of against each age and criminal uses of their own kids recorded. And as their crime rolls with WFSB being coached and with Fox Connecticut News being coached to cover it up, to sequence shifts. So they're being invested and needed to value that because they stole my identity, fake both sides of stories. News pretends people are liars because people have simultaneously inherent, active, and progressive means to demonstrate they are liars. Criminal foreign influence and delusions raw as pseudo-positive natures, as criminal insidious natures, as their roles with predicate acts clicks and trade center crimes clicks reveal. These are people associated with a crime act inside the trade center attack context, Ninth Circuit, proven after the attack, but in the attack context right before it, they had shown the panel of judges post-dated documents that had been post-dated from inside the court to appear as if they'd been handed in late. Because when you bring in the papers to court, they timestamp them. They had been timestamped on time in a pro se RICO, Racketeering Influence and Corrupt Organization Act, part of a case /S, or leading up to that. And remember that proven led to a 2006 case, like 5-6 years later, in Connecticut now. But these are the same interstate foreign cliques involved with New Britain Superior Court criminally since I was a kid, with the people involved criminally. And then every time I was in that location, actually, there were people offensive made confessions to me that I don't know, but I know of. And in other words, these are all people that were facilitated the crime acts, roles, and confessions that only met very briefly through the one house in my area tied to the years ago police chief, and the new one with the drug clicks, that brought up the untimely deaths and the child offenders, forced with the leader of the kids. So if you call up to report something and they know they're going to get caught in the courts, they make the people make confessions about the other people involved, as they did. In other words, then on the record, it shows that you called them back, but they don't talk about how they called you for a whole bunch of times, made confessions, and how they instigated that with rape threats, with other natures of untimely death threats, threats not to say anything about it. So in other words, they made the confessions to make it look like I know the people, including my past neighbors, extended family members. Those are people. Those are people associated with someone who was in my grade growing up. I never saw them together when they were growing up. Now they're associated and with places on and off Town Line Drive with a whole bunch of people. How many police they have just in the Weathersfield Police Department? Then you mix in all the natures of FBI families, other natures of police forms recorded, confessed, and demonstrated criminally involved. They brought them into it with fake conversations with me. They pretend people have conspiracy theories about police, but in the context of as them pretending that they had communications with people. In other words, they're pretending that they had conversation with me. And they're putting in fake, in other words, they knew that they're doing this. So instead of letting people tell on them, they're offensively pretending the people tried to tell on them. And they're pretending they didn't speak right or whatever like that. In other words, and pretend they had a conversation. These are the people, these are doctors involved with various natures of courts criminally at once. And this is a headache for leaders because these are people involved with various natures of other nations, shared policing that have been using the ground criminally, the identity of each science, of each person's value criminally together, distinctly and non-distinctly. And then they've been pretending to be positive. pretending to be good people, not by accident, as criminal insidious nature. So this is no words. They don't have the integrity to teach about what slavery was about, which is about the three natures of reality. The reality that we can't control, that's going to cause positive or negative, the value of our systems to itself. And then there's what we can control that's positive or negative, and what we can't. In other words, that we try to keep positive, and what is only pretending to be positive. See, but we're not even trying to keep it positive anymore. So when the presidents try to demonstrate that and how the fentanyl problem, these problems are manifest with areas as breaching organized crime method positions, stay right through administrations. This is sequence shifting roles, nature's needs and styles that blame others for what they did first. Because these are, I mean, how many people they put in jail? These justice systems, after there were already various natures of courts valuing each other, sickly. They knew that they're going to cause, especially like when there's areas in the streets where there are shootings every year and through time. They're blaming that on a certain type of predator that they only let realized. They only let realized tactically pseudo-educated, and they blame the parents too, because these are generations that were never came through any type of campus that wasn't criminally foreign influenced, wrought with delusions, criminal uses of time too fast and too slow only for bad, only to for a tactical ulterior from what our forever nature's course is. So we must report for the crime acts. But if you try to call on the phone, they lie about what's actually recorded. Then when you go into court and into branch, they attach you. They make, in other words, there's no law that you have to tell through other people. Crime acts that they didn't experience, but they force us to do that, like through our family members, stuff like that. By faking it, by attaching us to fake words, fake about each other, fake sequences, and then they make this add up. Then people are going to raise their voices because they have to force action. You have to force a response because they're not following the rules, and they're using how they have foreign and domestic associated with the areas in collusion, especially with psychology, because these are crimes with their patients and with their criminals, and with the various interbranch, with offensive evidence perception crimes, identity thefts. So it's a crime that they use, crime method they use. If you call up and you catch them, they'll make them call back and make confessions. And then you're going to call and like leave a message. You're going to call back again. So now it leaves to manifest the truth, the fact that you called a bunch of times, but you only called once. Then they kept calling back. They leave that out. They'll throw you in jail for 6 months. Note there's a jail in Sandy Hook, Newtown. See, they did that when they were still forcing the rest of the child offenders, even sexual, even medical. Other natures of them, overt criminal enterprises, associated crimes with Joshua Julian and with a girl I don't know, associated with Coast Guard. Coast Guard. See, then they get titles and things like that. They have sensibility natures. These are people, in other words, too, they don't even know what the former director of the FBI looks like, but they have the concept of the FBI in their head with integrity that it never had. Per known, quote, and unknown, overt criminal enterprises, unrealized ones. per, I'm not saying he said that, but I was using Rumsfeldian, because this was a whole bunch of nations and militaries shared policing of stores, of markets positions, of identities of the ground in relationship to all the things tied to nuclear, tied to why and how we have to have shared policing. See, but all that on charge still with it originally. Still, you can have natures of industries they had and defend and pretend the Constitution is unabridged, but they did it anyways. Anyway, not by accident, because everyone only realized per a method blaming other things, others themselves, for the real causes of negative value nature progression. This is in what knows and methodically keeps each potential identity of correlation nature tactically to and as identities other. As peoples, not as people. But and as peoples, preventing that from being discerned. For example, by presenting sensibilities is supposed to fight for people. In other words, if I refer to someone as people, oh, that's prejudice. This is nature's a pseudo-positive. This is a quality of fact, cheapy nature that can't defend itself from what exploits our three natures of volume, what exploits the identity that is simultaneously, inherently, actively, and progressively as truth and as fact that is also as each exception. So the FBI and other agencies, they're raised, told, to forsake the perfect world, the cold world. Everything they said, because they were raised each age of fact, human nature, not to think, not to protract correlation nature simultaneously, inherent, active, and progressive means, which we have the means to. They prevent this by having interbranch families demonstrate, record, and confess how their crimes with overt criminal enterprises and with other nations' police and with their families, and how they're associated with on and off campuses crimes, private, overt criminal enterprises, intermilitary, foreign and domestic, Kuwaiti military, American military police predicate acts, identity theft crime acts roles, then of other natures with people from my town and military families. They can't pretend other. In other words, there's a Justin Kovinskis already also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with crimes with the on-off campuses military police. These are and ones with a MPO Floyd with predicate acts, attaching me to fake conversations with him and fake relationships with others, forging names, switching name roles, with medical families associated with houses in my area, criminally involved with the various natures of courts and their family members, through time criminally involved. These are pain in the ass. These are bad courts. These are bad people. And how that is only let realize they're victim predators, but they're predators. They're pretending, in other words, this is manifest on. When you see people, you take your meds. How many people they force to take meds, and then they pretend, and what's that do? That invests them to pretend that they have integrity that those other people don't. And they're sick. They have various natures of persuasions over the counters to the court too. In other words, they pretend, okay, it's either this or jail. In other words, when you each age of fact, cheap in nature, they're setting up. They're only letting realize the insidious creeps pretended as positive that are pseudo positive. That's what that can't speak for itself and sustain what could simply demonstrate what slavery was used for, which was the slavery of our founders at the same time. They used color then for now to keep a quality of fact, cheap in nature, with sensibilities, pretending to believe things. They're not carried about positive. They're not interbranch, men and women, especially the women, further as roles with the sick men, with the kids. Their motivations aren't sex. Their motivations aren't what they say when they're shooting people and stuff like that. These people are no one. Everyone's need to hide finite, active, and progressive life stacked, juxtaposed in layers. So we have the bakeries, a Mazzucato, and a modern pastry on Franklin Avenue. And there's a Demorals Market. I don't know if they moved to there to Rocky Hill too. There's Demorals Market. There's an Iola's Kitchen. These are homes and places and people with cliques further with the Yagaman family, criminally involved with a Mayano family. We're further with the interbranch child offenders, fake news crime acts, cliques, roles. One's with the Trade Center investigators, crimes, and with the crimes with one of them had a daughter in my grade, and two other ones had a bunch of crime roles with people that stole my identity when I was little, when I was young, behind my back. Never had a class with them, like women police now, as women adults who were first made to spread, pretend they had conversations with me, pretend I was in locations with them that never were behind my back, per John Mayano. These are people like two Mulcahy girls and their family, people that live near that area and around. That's a house off of Hangdog Lane. This is the name of that song. And then that's off of Two Rod Highway. Now, Two Rod Highway also has a Victorian house that's tied to a Phil Cololo, I never had a class with. He's one of the people involved with database crimes, identity thefts, with the extended family members of a Cololo family on my street. A kid that came in fourth grade as a dog, as a sister too. She's associated with one of the Newington police involved criminally with this Aiello family and various natures of fake news crime acts with the Aiello. He went to a prom with a Christine Bedard / Tardet. Him and his brothers involved all natures of drug crimes, crimes of overt criminal enterprise, crimes with FBI, crimes of foreign and domestic families, crimes of overt criminal enterprises, identity theft crime acts roles, 6 sequence shift crime act roles. Also, his groups used for sequence shifts because he hung out with Ray Kala, who lives in my area. I knew him. I used to go those places sometimes with them, like not like for long periods of time. You know, skiing is an exception, and so in other words, they had a lot of they had relatives that they hung around with, and with the police forms that are now with families criminally involved, like this DeMorrow police family with Wethersfield, John DeMorrow involved with Jerry Kurz. That's what Officer Jerry Miller recently recorded and confessed further crimes roles with the Kurz, also with the campuses. Hello, I don't know what to. Hello, oh, it doesn't say your name. So I'm speaking about fake news recorded. This is recorded interstate, and these are also various natures of court. Hi, Daddy. So, anyways, Mexican Jesus. I saw your ad on Man Seeking Child. I don't get it. I don't get it. If that's the joke. So anyway, this is about I caught. In other words, there's a principle they put child offender, but there were courts involved with his campus before that they didn't let me tell on. I caught them with untimely all these clicks in my area because they use them. There's a defendant of a former director of the FBI named Robert Luskin. Hello, I saw you on. Man, could I like to be? So anyway, there's former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin. He was director before this Mueller guy and the Comey guy in the news. And see now the FBI is with crime methods where they blame other people with the branches. Judges do this too. They blame others for what they do and they attach them to fake words. They're doing this to the president. Hello, I saw the ad and I can sell too. Hello, Anthony, I saw. I don't know what ad because I didn't put an ad up, you guys. You racist white man. Why would you call me racist, Garcia? Because I mentioned the Internation Criminal Enterprises. My people did nothing to you. We have over here, we have interbranch judges I'm complaining about. And they're juxtaposed with other nations' crimes. If you're referring to the Mexicans associated with the state police and with the forensics cliques criminally involved, that's their problem. They shouldn't be. I don't know those people. They shouldn't put their minds on other people. If you're referring to the woman that works with CCSU, they're sick. She's not a good woman. She can't be a police form. If you're associating with the people with the sclerosis, they're tied to further interstates, intercampuses, trade center crime acts. Here, I will buy kind of whatnot from a recent. So I'm not. See, I don't know why you guys will come here when I'm trying to complain about specific child crime acts. These people keep pretending that they send strangers in to pretend they don't understand me, and to make jokes about child offenders. See, I could never believe that they would let a child offender. See, because my father would have destroyed them with logic and with lawyers and stuff like that. I need the attorney general for my lawyer. This guy is a racist. I know. Then he said, that's like criminal to pretend I'm racist. You have no evidences because you're a little racket about get your own people. You're one of the people forcing the women and kids to leave their houses, and then you pretend people are racist. You guys are one of the people involved with these interbranch police and judges I caught, huh? With the child offenders. You like the kids. I'm importing you pedo. See, then these people blame you for what they do. In other words, like the harassment they did, they sequence shifted. Sequence shifts are over, and that's a problem because then you pretend other. See, that's how they keep the branches criminally foreign influenced, and those other nations are criminally foreign influenced. But that keeps them all blaming other things, others themselves, like us. In other words, everyone's blaming the wrong things, not by accident. Then they don't have their own nation's histories allowed told. You guys report him. We can't have a child. You guys know this child. You guys are with this child molester. Hey man, what do you do with the man you had? You're weird. I was here to be sold, but you're a racist. Since we have people with the child with the human trafficking who are in collusion with the various natures of courts there and here. They're in collusion with psychology there and here with criminal justice rackets. We have shared policing. Puerto Rico, Mexico, America, Canada, we have psychology that's crimes with prisons that are with areas, also intercampuses. They're sticking identity thefts against each person on campuses. They're keeping all, dude, we are calling the police. We saw your ad on to buy kids. So the police also are recorded online with fake YouTube pages, fake Facebook pages pretending to be me. They're juxtaposing natures of crime acts roles because these are people with crime acts with a whole bunch of defendants, a former director of the FBI. Hear that now. director of the FBI. Because this is before Mueller and before Comey. So the sequence shifts and the recorded online threats and intercampuses crime acts, predicate acts even with mail crimes, wire crimes, identity thefts, extortion, torture. They're preventing police reports and they're stealing the identities of who says other, and they're forging names and switching names. Then, in other words, whenever we try to go near them, there was more crimes interbranch and with their family members. They have their own kids used criminally with child offenders. They can't defend themselves now and afford anyone with correlation in nature simultaneously inherent active and progressive means. So what I'm doing is pulling them. I'm gonna connect people of Hartford, New Britain. See, but would they already have people in the background pretending to know me? So they have you guys come up here. You can't. They can't pretend that up front. So they do name forging and switching. They have the Kurt name switches spelling of his names. They have all the people make the confessions. These are the people who crimes with New Britain Superior Court since I was a kid. The Morrow families involved crimes with them. A Jensen family. These are people who crimes with various natures of police, like state police, FBI, overt criminal enterprises. These are organized crime groups in collusion with drug judges retired and standing with the child offenders. So you guys got to be, you gotta have some backbone. You guys have, you got to be able to counter child offenders. Hey man, your channel, we're seeing. Hi Bobby. I don't know these people. There's also Bobby. Is that Bobby from, I don't know. These people that are talking about the child things, I don't know what they're talking about. But I know that there's a child offender in my area. Why do you have no many children? I don't know what that spelling is. So your famous ways seen for trafficking. So anyway, you guys are traffickers. Delay. I I can't see with that spells, but so this all we need to make instant evolution is to admit that and how sciences weren't speaking for area's value. They weren't speaking for our human value. And every modern nation is an identity of negative value, nature, progression. So they see how they have these people come on here to pretend I'm prejudiced. They have no evidences. And worse than no evidence, they have physical delusions. So how do you fight with that without sounding prejudice? See how they do it, or giving up. See how they do that? They maintain that here or there because these are suits and ties, fake positive natures. These are crimes against our history while they're pretending to care for it. They're keeping each age of fact, keeping nature victim predators originally still. What color with the law? That's an organized crime. That's method that is recorded, and there are means to demonstrate it. But when you just use those means, you demonstrate also how the sciences are offensively evidence reception predators into sciences. They're maintaining everyone valuing, having had value. Everyone blames other things, others themselves for the real causes of negative value, nature, progressions, acts, and natures. So we have negative value, nature, progressions, people that don't even have safety in their own countries, but they're still waving the flags of those countries. They don't care about that country. They don't have no identity. Bobby, you're a predator. Me too. I'm not a predator, Bobby. There is a Bob. There are men and women that use the name Bobby and Alicia. There's like 5, 6 Alicias from New York and Connecticut with crimes on and off CCSU and on and off Trinity College with untimely deaths, with the police families, interbranch families, with interbranch police that were used criminally with the foreign, leading up to a 2006 case with defendant, former director of the FBI. See, our police forms, other police forms even like CIA. They attached me to fake conversations about the CIA with a Leahy family, other medical families in my area with crimes with kids. See, they painted themselves into corners through time. Retired and standing judges, police forms private with with Fox CT, with WFSB. They're coaching girls to get scared and stay home from school, and then they're putting those girls' faces and names into the news because they're coaching who to get hurt because they need to hide their life progressions more and more because they each time I talk they need to in the background make things up because they recorded themselves, confessed themselves, demonstrated themselves, various natures of court, and with the Britain Superior Court, Hartford courts simultaneously criminally involved, New Haven Court, New Haven District Court, used criminally by them. These are people that were crime acts roles from inside the Trade Center attack context, Ninth Circuit Court in Manhattan, interstates, after they already had on and off campuses, identity theft, crime acts roles, illusion stacking. So, and look how they send you guys on here. I've been asking since the beginning of this conversation. I want to talk about the crime acts, threats, and then the sequence shifts. They keep stacking in other things and and people that I don't even know pretending they don't know it. And then on paper, these are fake sciences, fake experts. Worse than that, that are pretending other people corroborate what they say. And in other words, they're pretending that my family, I tried to communicate what they thought I would. In other words, I tried to complain myself in regarding the interbranch rape threats. These are also criminal uses of campuses, of online policing. You know, you know, these are people pretending they're about privacy, but then in other words, they're in the background. They wouldn't have had my name in their mouth, and they wouldn't have stacked these impositions against me. No, in other words, they need to stand down. We need a new police chief. We need federal stewardship of the state judicial branch offices, of the state prison offices, and of the houses next to it. On and off, we need them demonstrated with sick people associated with Fox CT and with WFSB coaching the abuses of women and of kids of each age of fact, GB nature. You think these are means for our elderly? You think these are means for our natures of cities with people stacking? You think they ever had legal representation? You guys come on here when you hear someone trying to talk about specific crime acts with kids, crime methods with kids also, and you play games with that. Don't do it. Fox CT, WFSB, let's go. Fix the fake news. Put my side of the story. Tell how you told fake sides of stories, because these were also your recorded crime acts roles. Fox CT in collusion with the private police and sources of WFSB, and with their timeline ad placements to hide their own. They're hiding fake differences. You know, they're hiding each other's crimes and identity theft, crime acts roles and natures. They're coaching each age effect human nature to value, having had value, correlation nature sabotage. They're making the kids incapable of projecting correlation nature because they're demonstrating what they're doing as what American history is really about. How we're going to smash this. Always legally. It's disgusting that we have such degenerate, no trafficking here. We have these traffickers in collusion with psychology, in collusion with justice rackets. You know how many people must be in jail in Puerto Rico? It's totally denatured relationship to nature, causing negative value nature's actions, acts, and natures on purpose. Get off my name. Here. She means appear.